Last class we introduced pranayama, which was described in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika chapter 2, Sutra 1 to 10, Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. So we continue reading for lesson 21 today. We continue reading from Sutra 11 in chapter 2. So after the introduction of Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, Svatmarama says, one should practice well kumbhakas 4 times a day, in the early morning, midday, evening and midnight, gradually, till they number 80 each time. The number 80 refers to the maximum count, and it refers to the inflow stage. When I explained the counting structure based on the ratio of 1, 4, 2, 4, then I explained that we start with a basic count of 12, 48, 24, 48. I also explained that there is a maximum count. If after a couple of years of regular practice you keep building up, you then end up with a maximum count of 80, 320, 160, 320. Here, in a very mysterious way that has been indicated or referred to. It doesn't really explain the whole structure, but it does refer to the number 80 in the maximum count. One should practice well kumbhakas 4 times a day, in the early morning, midday, evening and midnight. First, a practical thing. The English text was written by a Dutch person, and he made a crucial grammar mistake. In the Dutch language, when a word is plural and it ends with an S, it's written apostrophe S. You see that with asanas, the word kumbhakas, but in English, apostrophe S is not plural, it is possessive. So it's a bit weird, just so you know. There's been a mistake in the text. Now, Sutra 11 tells us we must practice 4 times a day at 4 different times of the day. That doesn't mean that you have to do pranayama every day 4 times. But the reason why you are advised to do it at different times of the day is because energy is always fluctuating, which means our condition is always fluctuating. When you wake up in the morning, Shakti starts to rise, so there is more Shakti present. While the Shiva from the night, because during the night you're full of Shiva to help you to recover from the fatigue from the day before, the Shiva slowly disappears and is replaced by Shakti. That is why you open your eyes, get out of bed, and you start being active, preparing breakfast, preparing for going to work, or whatever it is that you need to do. Around noon, the levels of Shakti are the highest, but then they slowly start to reduce, and by the time that the evening comes, Shakti is then again being replaced by Shiva. It's time to finish the day, take a rest, go to sleep. And so Shiva and Shakti are constantly fluctuating. Your condition is constantly fluctuating. Now, the pranayama exercises control your energy, and with that, it affects your condition. This means that when you do a pranayama, when you do Nadi Shodhana Pranayama in the morning when you're full of Shakti, it will have a different effect on you compared to when you do it in the evening when you're full of Shiva. Now, why is it necessary to do this at different times of the day? That is to help you become conscious of your changing condition. It is to help you become conscious of the effect of the pranayama. And in the long term, based on your experience and in combination with the new pranayamas that we learn after repeating Nadi Shodhana pranayama about 20 times, you will at some point be able to assess your condition and then say, I need this particular pranayama to correct my condition. That is only possible if you're familiar with not only your condition and the changes throughout the day, but also familiar with each particular pranayama, because they each have a different effect, a different purpose. So that is the reason why you're advised to practice. It seems that you're being told to do pranayama 4 times a day. Of course, if you have the luxury, that would be a good experience, at least for a certain period of time. Most people don't have the luxury of being able to do it 4 times a day. In a practical sense, it means try it out at different times of the day and see how it affects you differently each time. Sutra 12. In the first stage, there is perspiration. In the second, tremor is felt. And in the highest stage, the energy goes to the chief place, Brahmarandra. So one should control the energy. This structure you see in every aspect of yoga. Most people don't understand it. Even scholars do not understand this. But it's very practical. A human being, I think I've told you this a couple of times already, just because repeating it many times will make it stick in your memory. Because this is a practical aspect of yoga that most people do not understand, even specialists in yoga. A human being has a natural tendency to be in a tamas condition. That is why the crown chakra doesn't function, and the heart, because energy is below. As a natural tendency in the universe, energy condenses, so it gravitates to the bottom of our functioning also. And it explains why we are plagued in life, why we are suffering from emotions and desires. Restlessness as a result of those emotions and desires. So yoga, the whole system of yoga, every aspect of yoga is designed to counter tamas. And you do that with the first step, adding Shakti, creating a rajas condition. Here that is symbolically described as perspiration. First, there is perspiration. The first step is to add Shakti to create rajas, to kill the tamas condition. So you first have to go up, but now you go up, you go too high. So you have to then add a little bit of Shiva, which is tremor being felt. Tremor being felt is like shivering when you're cold. So he is using the symbolism of heat for rajas, cold for tamas, and then allowing you to end up in the middle. The way to balance out Shiva and Shakti is to first go up by adding Shakti, and then by adding a little bit of Shiva, you come down in a measured way and you balance out Shiva and Shakti. As a result of this balance, The third channel opens up, Sushumna Nadi. Which is the third stage. In the highest stage, the energy goes to the chief place, Brahmarandra. Brahmarandra literally means the cavity of God. It's the crown chakra. So that is, every step in yoga, every aspect in yoga is designed to get to the crown chakra. And you do that by killing tamas. Starting with rajas, then in a measured way some tamas, to allow you to end up in sattva. And when there is sattva, the energy rises up and fuels the crown chakra, which is described 1 or 2 sutras later. 13, rub on the body the perspiration resulting from fatigue. By this, the body derives firmness and lightness. We live in a world where most people are too busy, so always tired. Now, tired, fatigue, is a rajas condition. That sounds a little bit strange because we think that fatigue, being tired, is tamas. Opposite. What is tamas is laziness. When you feel lazy, that is tamas. But tamas, lazy and tired are 2 different things. Tired is something that occurs from being active for a prolonged period of time, burning up your energy, so you need to recover. If you don't allow yourself to recover in a timely manner, you start to age faster. That explains why people who have very hard jobs or make very long hours every day, 5 or 6 days a week, they look older than their age. They're literally burning up, oxidating. The oxidation process. The best medicine, we live in a time where there's lots of antioxidant food supplements. You can buy vitamins and all kinds of things that proclaim to be antioxidant supplements. But the best medicine for antioxidation, to bring about antioxidation, is simply rest. Good food, of course, is important. That is our fuel. But have enough rest. And as a yogi, you will become more and more aware of this. It will be harder in the future to be as busy as you were before, just because it doesn't feel good, just because it doesn't feel right. Something that you were not aware of before, and most people are not aware of, you become acutely aware of. Because one thing that happens to every yoga practitioner is that you become very aware of your condition. That means also when you're tired, you're aware of that. While in the past you would simply keep doing what you do because you think that you have to, it now starts to become an obstacle. I always say to my students that as a yogi, you become a feel-good professor. Because you become so much aware of yourself and your condition. And when you're tired, you don't feel good anymore. So you automatically feel more inclined to rest compared to before. And that is natural. It's not natural to work 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's not. But the clock is dominating our lives and telling us that is how it has to be done. So rub on the body the perspiration resulting from fatigue really means, it is symbolical language, it really means have enough rest. So that Shiva energy can be allowed to make you recover from all the fatigue resulting from being busy, whether that is yoga practice or work or anything else in life, it's all the same. Sutra 14. In the early stages of practice, Food mixed with milk and ghee is prescribed as the best diet. But when practice has advanced, such restrictions need not be observed. Food mixed with milk and ghee. Milk is a super nutrient. Is full of nutrients. And ghee is made from butter. So also it's full of fats and proteins and it's a super nutrient also. So in the modern times, maybe they would advise to drink Red Bull or something, which is the modern energy drink. But in the past, energy food, the energy food of the past was these high nutrient dense foods that were actually a luxury. Most people couldn't afford to have milk and butter. The reason why you are advised to feed yourself with ghee and milk in the beginning stages of your yoga development is because you have lived a life in a certain way and you turn all that upside down by starting something completely new. And every time when you start something completely new, it requires lots of energy. After a little while, you get used to it, it settles down. And he says also, once you have advanced, once practice has advanced, there's no need anymore for these high energy foods. 15 tells us, as the lion, elephant or tiger is tamed gradually, even so should energy be brought under control. Else it will kill the practitioner. Every person who practices yoga knows that yoga can feel really, really good. It is the reason why many people become addicted to yoga. But when you push yourself too hard, either in intensity or in the amount of time that you practice, it will actually have the opposite effect. It will start making you feel, you get muscle ache. It may, instead of making you calm and peaceful, it may make you restless, etc. That is what this means. So the word gradually is very important. There is a sutra that is Sutra 18, where the word gradually is used 3 times in one sentence. So the word gradually is really important here. 16, through the proper practice of pranayama, there is freedom from all diseases. By a mistaken course of yoga, the practitioner brings all diseases upon themselves. This can be interpreted in at least 2 different ways. One, if you do too much of something that is supposed to be good for you, it can turn against you. Just like I just explained just before. If you try too hard, if you push yourself too hard, if you spend too much time trying hard, it can actually have the opposite effect. Instead of being very beneficial and making you feel good, it can lead to discomfort, pain, and exhaustion, restlessness, etc. But also, a mistaken course of yoga brings all diseases upon the practitioner. That is, if you learn yoga from somebody who is not properly initiated into yoga and tells you to do things that are harmful, it can lead to very serious complications. An example of that is how the Kriya exercises are described, telling you to swallow a piece of cloth or to suck up water through the anus. That can be very harmful if you literally do that. And with pranayama, If you learn pranayama as breath control and you actually follow the framework, it's impossible. So the next sutra will address that also. Sutra 17. A wrong course of pranayama produces hiccup, asthma, bronchial diseases, pains in the head, ears and eyes, and various other diseases. So that is what happens if you try to hold your breath for an unnatural length of time. If you try to do pranayama the way that it is described, and you follow the instructions, and you try to distort that into breath control, you're inevitably going to end up in trouble. It's simply impossible. And if you force yourself, it would lead to death, of course, but it won't get that far, because before you die, you will just suffer from all kinds of discomfort that will force you to stop. 18. One should gradually efflux the energy and as gradually draws it in. One should also restrain it gradually. Thus, Siddhi is obtained. When I introduced pranayama in the count, I told you to count very slowly. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3. When you do things gradually, there are two things. When you do things gradually, you allow time to do the work, to soak it up, to allow the exercise you are doing to have effect. If you rush it quickly, pali, it doesn't touch you, it doesn't have the desired effect. So this is the sutra where you are told 3 times in one sentence to do it gradually. The inflow, gradually. The outflow, gradually. And the retention, gradually. So the one thing is that it gives time to have the desired effect. The other thing is when you do things gradually, you're more engaged. So the energy is stronger, which naturally leads to a deeper effect. And this does not only apply to pranayama or yoga, this applies to everything in life. Anything that you do in life, if you take your time and you do it gradually, the results will be much better. The outcome of what you are trying to achieve, the result of what you are doing, is much better than when you do things in a rushed way. So, yoga is not a superficial exercise or practice. Yoga is actually life in practice. What you do in the class seems to be separated from daily life, but actually what you do in class leads to a new condition that integrates into how you function, and it will integrate into your daily life, in how you work, how you deal with people, etc. Everything will gradually become affected by, in a good way, of course. You become more patient, you become more persistent also. Stubborn is a negative word, but persistent. All as a result of yoga transforming how you function. Sutra 19. When the nadis are purified, there are external signs. Leanness and brightness of the body are definitely produced. Health is the result of energy, unrestricted flow of energy. Many people are not really healthy because they have all kinds of blockages and obstacles in their energy channels. That is why we get sick. Any kind of disease can be traced back to a blockage in the energy circulation. This is not only known in yoga, also traditional medicine, like Korean traditional medicine, is based on this principle. Modern medicine, when you get sick, they treat the symptom. They treat the spot where you have pain. But that spot where you have pain is the result of something that happened before it. And in modern medicine, that is often overlooked. While traditional medicine and yoga say, if you get sick, you need to first take care of your energy circulation. If the energy circulation is right, is good, healthy, you won't even get sick anymore. And if you are sick, you will heal. So yoga always leads to healing. It doesn't only prevent disease, it also leads to the healing of existing diseases. It's a slow process, but gradually you become healthier, stronger, you look healthier, as the sutra describes, external signs like leanness and brightness of the body. Your overall health improves considerably if you practice regularly. And it is not the physical part of yoga does that. The physical part is only a tool. It is the energy household that is being upgraded by your yoga practice that leads to all those results. The last sutra for this session, Sutra 20. When one is able to restrain the energy as desired, when the gastric fire becomes more active and the nada, inner sound, is heard, there is perfect health, because the nadis are purified. Several things here. The gastric fire, that phenomenon that in Korean you call danjan. That is that ball of energy that exists out of the 3 chakras below the diaphragm, becoming one big ball of energy. In unconditioned people, these 3 chakras are separated and there is no amount of vital energy to speak of. Vital energy in Korean is ki energy. At the beginning of the course I explained that there is energy and there is vital energy. People who possess only energy, their energy goes to the bottom. But when you possess vital energy, energy rises up and fuels the crown chakra. That is why in Buddhist circles and martial arts and all spiritual circles, there is so much talk about that phenomenon of the gastric fire in the belly. Because without it, there is no spirituality. There is no functioning of the crown chakra. So that's one thing. The nada is mentioned here. Nada, the inner sound. The healthier you are, the clearer nada becomes. Why? Because nada is a vibration that is a reflection of your energy circulation. So when you practice yoga and you become healthier and stronger, it is the result of having more energy, and that energy freeing more freely through the nadis or the energy channels. So the vibration is higher. So we live in a world where people complain about ringing in the ears. And because they don't understand it, they think it's annoying, they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, you are suffering from tinnitus. While the doctor should actually say, there's no problem with you, you have that ringing in your ear because you're so healthy. There are, of course, some cases of tinnitus that is clinical, but the majority of people who complain about ringing in the ear, they simply hear nada. And when you understand that, it's not annoying anymore, on the contrary. Because in everything that you do, you are guided by nada. It makes you more focused, more calm, peaceful, but more focused also on whatever it is that you do. Now, nada is mentioned here. It's mentioned multiple times in the text, and yet most yoga teachers never heard of nada. That is strange, because it's clearly mentioned in the text. Good. Questions? After the break, we will skip to Sutra 37 or 39, because the kriyas are in between, and we have done that already. Okay, let's have a short break.